Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conica's World. It is spring break, you all, and I am outside. I am downtown live, Baltimore. Um, brought the children down here to skate tonight. Last night was college night, and tonight I was just thinking it was going to be the same thing, but I forgot every week, every day this week is going to be a theme week. But as you can see, I'm rocking my orange and blue. I am. I was expecting to have a good night skating, but I did not skate. I just sat around and ate some ice cream. Ate some ice cream, and I think it's one of these cupcakes with the children. I'm supposed to be off of sweets for 23 days. But anyway, it's probably be a little bit noisy in the background. But the wind is going to blow, and it's going to blow through my hair. But this breeze is really nice out here. And tonight, my topic is still the same. It's going to be student engagement after membership. Um, Let me tell you all what I have been seeing around the city. And I'm so excited about seeing the transportation with the college symbol on the side. Now, I know on campus we have the transportation buses that take you from one dorm or one part of the college to another. But out here in the community, seeing those buses, I'm so excited. And I'll tell you why I'm so excited. In 2018, I only seen the transportation buses of John Hopkins University bus, and it was very long. And one of those big 43 passenger buses, I believe, or 52 passenger buses. And what was happening is that this bus will come from, I'm not John Hopkins University, I might be wrong. Let me correct that. Housing University, and will come down to the campus and take the students to Towson. And some of the students believe that they could board the bus and go where they like to go up the university, or maybe stop at their dorm to drop them off. However, the transportation project had begun, and I cannot tell you what was entailed for the transportation project, but I am going to do my research on it, and I bet that in my research I will find that students collaborated together and got what they wanted with these transportations buses and getting them from point A to point B. Um, I am finishing. Well, I turned in my manuscript, and when in my manuscript, I talk about the transportations during college and how the transportation bus I would meet it downtown for BCCC, and that was such an enjoyment to me because I could just use that transportation and get me to campus and don't have to worry about the stress of parking. Parking it will make you miss a class. I am telling you that if you're using the transportation on campus and you're drive and you have to drive to get to college or your university, it can become a headache because you have to find somewhere to park. And I want to say that having this topic again with student engagement after membership is very important to me because I tell you it's going to tie up into everything because you students want to know how they can become engaged in things that they sign up for. And having that transportation and seeing transportation buses around and around and in the city and in the community, I'm excited for them because you see when you go to PWIs, they I'm guessing collaborate together to get what it is they want. It should be the same for HBCUs. We should be able to get what we want, how we want it, when we need it, in order for us to be able to have what we want. I understand there's a lot of things that are tied in there: the endowment, the foundation, the giving back, the sponsors, the donations. Understand that a whole lot of that is tied into in education. But we are so far gone. We are in 2023. It should not, a lot of things shouldn't be segregated as it is, or it should not, it shouldn't be hitting. You should be able to get what it is needed in the spaces that you need it for all the purposes that makes it balance out and make it right. Shout out to all the transportation buses that I have seen: Coppin State University, Morgan State University. And I am so excited to see that. And BCCC, I have been seeing that bus as well. So I'm excited for those students being able to get around because it does matter. So let's, as we summed up Women's Month last month, I tell you, it was a whole lot going on. I've been watching some controversy. I've been watching some platforms. I've been seeing these women speak up. These men and these women have these conversations on the adult level. The vulnerability is very important because without having it, these conversations probably can't be led, or it just can't have a decent conversation inside of those platforms when the topics come up about how men and women have some issues, right? Some back behind issues. You can say from growing up, you can say from nurturing. Um, you We can say a whole lot of those things on a psychology level, right? But it all sums up to being able to have those conversations sitting right beside each other and not getting so flustered, no one cursing anyone out, but just having a say because everyone should be able to have a say. Women's History Month went and gone, but every day celebrate, celebrate, celebrate us women. And not saying that men can't be celebrated, but celebrate us women without hastiness, without arguing, without saying you can't have your say, because we as Black people don't have to continuously to be divided by simple arguments or putting each other down or not, or putting women down, no matter how it may seem to say. I say that because our little girls are going to turn to young women, and our young women are going to be older women. And you will see them evolve as they should in the way that it is that's instilled in them. They can become whoever they want to be, but also hear them when they have to say what it is they want to say. And sometimes it's not always easy. It can be written down and it can be written out. The one thing about it is that we must not bash the men, and men can't be so hard on women. Let women have their say and let them and celebrate with them any and every time. Women have messes, we have babies. That labor is hard, and you have to contribute to all those things that can happen through a childbirth. I want to talk about the ISU and our shout out to Angel Reese and how these trash talking was going on because she was celebrating. That's the one we don't want the cackling to happen on these young girls. And to hear how she conducted herself and to hear how she said what she said, and she don't have to be apologetic about it. Unapologetic is what she said she was. Why do she need to apologize for celebrating when you hear all this trash talking? Calling her ghetto? Okay, we are creators, right? and creators of the change, creative. And meaning the creative part about Angel Reese is how she carried herself with her hair, with her lashes, even if she had her nails done. So thinking about Shakari, the track runner, look at her. She opened the door for that style. Her hair, her lashes, her nails. How do you want the black woman to present themselves? Ponytail pull back, hair natural, what it is that you want, that you can just call her the woman that she is by her name. Why does she have to have anything in front of it? That young girl play hard, she practice hard. You don't know what she go through when she's with her coach. She practiced, she learned the game. And everything that she did, she played it out to the end, no matter what it is that was said about her. So celebrate her. Why have something bad to say about her and all those things attached to her? When you have this young woman playing the game hard as she played, she had to learn a whole lot. Now think about it. She's a student, she's a learner, she's a leader. She practiced hard for all of those things. And to give her all those titles that someone want her to carry, it's not fair at all. Why it's not fair? Because you don't know where she come from, you don't know her background, and just because the way someone look doesn't mean they are who you think they are. Children develop these habits or behaviors around their peer groups. It comes outside of our morals and our values. And when they show up, sometimes we wonder who is that child, where did they come from, and why they acting out of their character that I know for them to have. Angel Reese carried herself in a professional manner. And I believe she give her the credit where credit is due. The professional that she is. What people fail to realize, the sports that you play, you're a professional. And you have professional development. And that young girl had professional development in her walk and everywhere she went and how she played. You got to think about this. She traveled from where she was to where she was going throughout the finish. That's a whole lot of in that. And some people probably don't even leave the spaces that they are. Whoever titled her with all those names, whoever gave her those labels, it doesn't mean that she accepted them. She wasn't going to be good enough for whoever was watching her anyway. Why? For those who criticize her and downplayed her, is because she's black. No if, no ands, no buts about it. Her skin tone is all about her skin tone. And that's basically what it was. But I think about Angel Reese and Shakari, the track runner. Shakari, how she dominated the sports and what she did running. And just like she said, no one ain't talk about her training. No one didn't talk about how fast she was. No one didn't talk about any of the things that she had to do to lead up to her point. But everyone wanted to dog her down. Everyone wanted to play her down. No one didn't have a lot of good things to say about her. So we as a black community have to lift those things up because we are creative, right? Give them girls what they need in the spaces that they are. Those young women, let me correct that. Those young women, professional young women. You got a lot of women who never meet or get to that point. I'm ready to talk about what I spoke about when I said about women's suffrage last week, and I started where I was, and I talked about the 19th Amendment, and I talked about there were white women who had the suffrage, and there was black women who had suffrage, who was not included into the civil rights point about it. Um, This article I'm reading from, you can also go look it up yourself, as I gave you the information from last week where I was reading from, and that was www.history.com. Tonight, I am going to give a little facts or points from the article of Suffrage in America, the 15th and the 19th Amendments, and it's at www.nps.gov. And this article, Black Women and the Right for Voting Rights. Remember last week I talked about how those things tied up for women's suffrage, and that sometimes it's overlooked or ignored. And the reason why I began to talk about that is because because of the Women's Month and how we were tying it up, and we was coming to an end of Women's Month. But I wanted to talk about it because the topic of women in leadership was coming up, and it was going back and forth about whatever the topic was about women and being in leadership, women not being in women being in leadership, and men not having those spaces for women, or women and men can't be in leadership together, or so forth, and however those topics led into women in leadership and talking down about them. I'll say it again that women and men can work together in spaces, and they can. They can create their chemistry. They can create safe spaces for themselves, and they can be able to have those conversations that can be on a level that they can agree to disagree without downplaying or dogging one another or degrading each other about how they feel, and more so into their feelings. Um, I think this is what happens, that arrogance do take a role in it, but we forget to talk about the ego and the super ego. So when we leave those things out, we get to where the point of it is that no one wants to be accountable, and one wants to really go into the vulnerable areas of oneself. So I'll begin this article here at this point, because I talked about the beginning of how we got to women's suffrage, but I'll talk about Black women often had to march separately from white women in suffrage parades. In addition, it says from the article, when Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony wrote the history of women's suffrage in the 1880s, they featured white suffrage while largely ignoring the contributions of African American suffrage. So I'll talk about they played an important role in getting the 15th and 19th Amendments passed. Remember, I said that last week about Black women that is ignored, and they played a part in this and getting these things passed, because you got to think about the Black men who needed to have the right to vote, and those things needed to happen in order for these two amendments to pass. And don't forget, I talked about the ratification, because we cannot leave the ratification of these things when they get passed. So I'll go to this article, another part of the article that talks about Black women found themselves pulled in two directions. Remember, I was talking about that when I talk about us Black women and Black men working in spaces, and how we can lift each other up, have the chemistry to be able to stand and work with each other, or we can have a group that wants something so much for themselves that they'll use you as a stopping stool, or use you as a mat. And is it right, or is it wrong? Or should it be balanced and equal? So listen to this article as it talk about Black men wanted their support in fighting racial discrimination and prejudice, while white women wanted them to help change the inferior status of women in American society. I'll read it again, because it's sometimes it's overlooked and sometimes it's misunderstood about who wanted what, why these certain groups wanted something, and why they needed these other groups for themselves to get what they want. And after you get what you want, sometimes you leave others behind and thinking it's not important for them to have what it is that you got. But equally, you would not even have anything if it wasn't for this one particular group. So I'll say it again. Black men wanted their support in fighting racial discrimination and prejudice, while white women wanted them to help change the inferior status of women in American society. White women or black women. So that right there makes a big point, because what group of women are you talking about? And if you're not talking about all groups of women, then that becomes a problem. Both groups ignore the unique challenges that African American women face. Remember, I just said that. Because you got to be careful about what it is that you want and who you excluding and what that means to you. Because once you exclude one group, you only looking out for yourself, your needs, what you wanted, and what you want to do with what you want after you get it. It is the most important part. Black reformers like Mary Church Terrell, Francis Ellen, at Francis Ellen Watkins Harper, and Harriet Tubman understood that both their race and their sex affected their rights and opportunities. I wanted to bring that topic up just because of the women leadership topic, and start from there to how where we are today, and to talk about those two young girls that opened the gate and a leadway for the next group of young girls that's coming up after them, right? Why are we still having this battle between us black people, us African American people, us colored people was what the title was. Why are we still having these issues? Why? Why do we have to have these issues? Why? Did those that came before us do enough? Or did a group of us after the great pandemic and the baby boomers, what happened? Something happened. Something happened. Maybe my generation was lazy. Maybe my generation nobody didn't want to see. Maybe my generation didn't put in enough money. Maybe my generation didn't knock on enough doors. Maybe my generation didn't holler and scream enough. Maybe my generation just act out. What happened? Something happened between those two times, right? A lot of things happen. We can say that civil rights um, stopped, or we believe it was at a halt, or we just believe that our leaders was getting killed or taken out, or a lot of things was happening to our people, and just to shut them up and to quiet them up and to give them what did we really get? Because now in 2023, you have a lot of abandoned houses. You got land grabs that have not been used properly. You have redlining. Um, we have a lot of segregation, like things that doesn't benefit our black people all the time, and does not benefit in us, in which a way we don't have to be quiet about it. It doesn't happen in the way that we need it to happen, so therefore we won't have issues. Our educational system, per se, and that is one big topic. Why are we here, and why are we in these spaces? Why? And that's one thing we have to understand, that we have come a long way, and we do got a lot of things that have benefit us: organizations, civil rights, um, our activists. And what we don't want to happen is that we don't want to go back down that area where we was um, before. We want to stay growing. We want to stay uplifted. We want to continue to rise. It's gonna get loud really quick one time, and I'm just gonna mute it really quick so that for this loud music can't come around. That's the benefits of things that happen outside. 1 second. That's the one thing I forgot to bring the sound barriers with us down here, so therefore it could block out some of the sound. Me being outside and enjoying this downtown spring break atmosphere. Um, but yeah, so that's what we are. I just wanted to bring up this word today, a double standard, and the rule of principle where it's unfairly applied in different ways to different people or groups. And I that double standard thing is always coming up because it's one group of us who are we can all be black, but we all don't live in and come out the same area, right? Our societies are different. Meaning where we grew up at, our social societies are different. So this may impact one group of people and it may not impact another group of people. I remember hearing a conversation of saying that the social security that the baby boom was saved up is going to be gone, or have been dipped into too many times, that they say that money is supposed to be for them saved up, and that a lot of generations didn't work into those spaces. And I was listening to that conversation, and there was a whole lot that could be said, but is in total agreement to say that those things that were saved up for them were not able to get what it is they put in, because those who was using Social Security at that time didn't work, had injuries, um, was not was became disabled, handicapped. However, the funds are divided and dipped into and passed on. I could say that um, that can be a whole lot of some people who did not work, and some that was on social services, at that time was called in welfare, to say that if you stayed on there, if you stayed on welfare, then you didn't have a job to put in. But what about the parents and the mothers who did put in? So that's why that topic can go two different kind of ways of saying that some could put in and some don't, but some can have a bigger advantage and others can. Every time I see someone on here, it looks like my son, then he goes off. I don't know. But thank you, Michael, for chiming in and listening to my topics today. Thank you for even taking your time out to watch this platform tonight. The only reason why I know I'm supposed to go all the way, I do have an hour in this platform. The only reason why I have to sum it up because where I am, um, it's going to get loud, and I have to shut it down in this space to go to the next area. But I don't want to carry this around me with me because I did not bring all my tools with me today. I just rushing is in my car, so I'm rushing down here to make sure I set up and set and start on time. I do appreciate this platform more than you know. I'm glad I'm able to talk about this topic. And I hope the guests that I am waiting and I cannot wait to interview to be able to come back on my platform. So I really do appreciate you all for giving me that time to be able to interview you. I know that your time is important. I will appreciate Dr. Sarah and her awesome topics, and learning a little about her in that little bit of time that I hope she can come back and be a part of my platform. Thank you, comedian Jay, for coming on my platform and talking about the show that's coming up. You all, that I hope you be able to come and see this awesome show on August the 7th. and that is Sanford and Son stage play. It's going to be out in Towson. The 5:30 tickets are up for grabs. The 3 p.m. show is sold out, and as far as I'm hearing, 7 o'clock is sold out as well. But you'll have another chance to come in May. But come to the 5:30 show as well. I thank you all for tuning in to Kanika's World tonight. I am outside, y'all. It is spring break. I am downtown in downtown Baltimore. So thank you for tuning in. And if my brother is watching tonight and he may be saying something about my smile, I like it. This is my comfortable. This is my comfortable. This is my comfortable space, and I do enjoy being able to put this smile on my face because we want to say that we never know what someone is going through, and we never know what can happen to us from one spill to the next. So I thank you for tonight. And usually, I'm out until 8. But as I said, I'm outside. I have to shut down because the area I am in. Have a good night, you all, and remember my topic was tonight about student engagement after membership. Have a good night.